Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new Ninjago video here on the channel. My name is TannerFishies. In today's video, we are just going to be discussing a few statements brought to us by Ninjago series head writer Doc Wyatt over on Blue Sky. Again, just some new statements that I thought were interesting, figured I would share them and, just give my quick thoughts on them. We have a few to get through in this video right here. Let's start with this one. Someone asks this question, specifically question number one here: will or would we see Eren be able to perform Rising Dragon technique? To which Doc Wyatt replies with no spoilers. So again, while Doc Wyatt cannot comment on whether or not Eren will use Rising Dragon technique in the future, I think it would make sense if he were to be able to. Obviously, he was training with it, or at least training to achieve it back during Season 2, because naturally all you need for Rising Dragon technique is Spinjitzu, as Rising Dragon is simply just Spinjitzu expanded. I think it ultimately depends, though, on a few things in terms of the Ninjago storyline. For one, I think it depends on how long the Forbidden Five will still be active in Ninjago's future. Because, say after Season 3 wraps up, if the Forbidden Five are simply just done at that point, well then would there be any reason for Eren to learn Rising Dragon technique? Since again, Rising Dragon was learned by the ninja to counter Shatter Spin of the Forbidden Five. So if there's no Forbidden Five, again, why would Eren need to learn Rising Dragon technique? And for two, I'm not really sure if the writers would give Eren a special Spinjitzu outside of his object Spinjitzu. Again, Eren is the only ninja that can use object Spinjitzu, and naturally that's what makes his Spinjitzu special. Why would they give him a new special ability like Rising Dragon on top of his already existing object Spinjitzu? I'm not sure if they necessarily need to do that, though I will say it just kind of depends, in my opinion, on what the future of Dragons Rising looks like. Next up here, someone asks this question that I thought was interesting. Does Sora actually like Frak the same way he likes her, or is it a one-sided crush? To which Doc Wyatt replies, watch and find out. So that could mean a variety of things. Of course, the whole Sora and Frak ship, it's been kind of controversial so far from what I've seen. Some people like it, some people absolutely hate it, but Doc Wyatt has confirmed in the past that Frak does have a crush on Sora. I mean, if you watch Season 3, that's pretty obvious. However, does Sora have a crush on Frak the same way? Well, I guess we will find out at some point in the future. Again, I'm not sure how I personally feel about this whole Frak and Sora thing, but if the show can make it work, I mean, we've seen stranger ships before, so sure, why not? Like Doc Wyatt said, we just need to watch and find out, so I'm curious to see what comes from this. Next up here, we have a few different questions. We are specifically talking about question number one here. It's actually something that we did a whole video on. Why was the ninja's Spinjitzu normal in the first realm in Season 9? To which Doc Wyatt replies, because that was pre-merge. Yeah, so obviously in Season 3 of Dragons Rising, the ninja's Spinjitzu in the first realm is a little bit different. We've established that already. It very much resembles the Dragon Spinjitzu as seen on some of the recent Ninjago spinners. Naturally, that was just the way for the writers to actually incorporate those spinners into the show, but still, again, we proposed the question a while ago, how come in Season 9 the Spinjitzu was normal compared to Dragons Rising Season 3, where it's this new Dragon Spinjitzu? Aside from, the obvious, the Dragon Spinjitzu spinners did not exist at the time of Ninjago Hunted coming out. Well, according to Doc Wyatt, it's because, again, Season 9 was pre-merge, so it's one of those the merge did it kind of things, And, I get it, the merge did a lot for the Ninjago series and for the Ninjago land itself, but I feel like we need more of an explanation, though, surrounding this as opposed to just because it was pre-merge. Maybe Dragons Rising will explain what exactly is going on in the first realm at some point later on. Maybe there's more to the first realm now following the merge than there ever was before. I don't know, kind of sounds like the merge had something to do with it, but again, we are still lacking specifics here. Finally, we have this group of questions right here. We are not going to be talking about much of these. However, there are a couple of questions here that do intrigue me. For one, can you confirm whether the Nauticons Sword is prismatic steel or the Jin Blade. There was a fan theory floating around that Nauticons Sword was actually made of prismatic steel. I totally understand why people would say that. I mean, obviously Nauticons Sword, or the Jin Blade, kind of absorbed souls. That was kind of its whole thing. Another name for that sword is literally the Sword of Souls. Then we get to Dragon's Rising Season 3, and these prismatic blades have a lot to do with souls as well. Doc Wyatt, though, has confirmed that it is not prismatic steel. The Jin Blade, or the Sword of Souls, that Nauticon was using in Skybound was not made of prismatic steel, which I think is kind of a missed opportunity. I mean, then again, you know, Season 6 never specified fully that it was prismatic steel, because obviously the concept of prismatic steel did not exist just yet, but it would have been cool to, you know, go back and retcon that sword being made of prismatic steel. I feel like if Ninjago really wanted to do that, they totally could, and it would have been a cool, you know, little connection between old Ninjago and new, but again, it's not like it's necessary for the storyline either, and in a way, it might raise more questions than answers, so I can see why maybe they decided to not make that retcon, but I still think it would have been kind of cool. And finally, the same person asks this question: if Jay remembers GXP, does that imply that he remembers Ed and Edna? GXP referring to Gallimorph X-Post, which is that game from Dragon's Rising Season 3 that Jay was insanely good at. To which Doc Wyatt replies, he doesn't remember it. He found it in the administration and was instantly good at it for reasons he could not remember, and he liked playing it. Yeah, so I know there was a bit of confusion there surrounding whether or not this means that Jay had, you know, some of his memories but not others. I think this is one of those things that, again, like Doc Wyatt said, he doesn't necessarily remember, but he kind of does, if that makes sense. He was instantly good at it because, of course, his body remembers playing it naturally, but his mind doesn't remember why he was good at it, if that makes sense. It's just one of those things that Jay found and reconnected with. It doesn't necessarily mean that he remembers Ed and Edna, despite those two characters being tied into this game from what we've heard from Dragon's Rising Season 3, and, you know, those characters being associated with Jay playing this game. So I'm glad that Doc Wyatt was able to clear that up here as well. But with that being said, everyone, that's going to pretty much wrap it up for my thoughts here. That's pretty much all we have time for in today's video. Again, just going over a few questions that were answered by Doc Wyatt over on Blue Sky. Once again, I do appreciate him going out of his way to interact with Ninjago fans and answer questions like this. It's always fun to see writers, you know, interact with the community that they write for. So leave all of your thoughts down below in the comments. What exactly do you think about the questions and answers proposed in this video right here? And hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you guys did, feel free to like and subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and I will talk to you guys again very, very soon. Peace.